Hey everyone, welcome to today's session. I'm seeing a few more people coming into the stream, so I'll just give it a little bit of time. I hope everyone's got a coffee or a drink or whatever time of day it is where you are. Looking forward to this session today. Okay, looks like. All right, let's get going. So, hey everyone, welcome in. I'm Luke Goff, which I'm sure many of you are aware, obviously, if you're here, but if you're not, welcome. I've spent 15 years as a recruiter across the UK first, and then the last 10 years or over 10 years here in Australia. Now, I've reviewed thousands of resumes, and I can tell you that a lot of them never get read. And I get a lot of questions from people all the time asking me about they've sent They've sent dozens and dozens of resumes. They're not hearing back regarding interviews. They're not sure whether it's their skill set, whether it's their CV, their LinkedIn. So today I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and what you can do about it. So at the end of this session, this video, you'll have a resume structure that actually passes ATS, which we'll come to more about what applicant tracking systems are. What will happen to help a human stop scrolling and actually read your resume, a LinkedIn headline and a profile that makes recruiters come to you, and a clear action plan that you can start straight away today, particularly with this Easter weekend coming up, to get your resume ready for any job applications that you have. So make sure you drop your questions in the chat as we go. I will be doing a live Q&A at the end where you can ask questions, but if there's anything during this chat that pops up and you want to ask, I'll keep an eye on the comments and I'll try and answer them as best as possible. If you're watching the replay and you're not live here, then leave your questions in the comments and I'll answer them there too. And obviously hit subscribe if you haven't already. I put out cybersecurity career content every week, not just on resumes, but how to break into this market, how to break into cybersecurity, what certifications to take, etc. And would love to have you join the community. So let's get going. I can see people doing the comments already. So yes, it will be on replay, absolutely. So feel free to watch this back after. Welcome everyone, welcome. And let me know in the comments as well what some of your biggest frustrations are in terms of resume and LinkedIn or in your job search in general. I'd love to hear about that and see if I can help in any way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up an example now of a bad resume, so to speak. So I've got these are fictional resumes. I've put them together. So I'm not using anyone's in particular, but I'm going to give you examples of exactly what maybe a bad resume would look like, talk to you about that why, and then we can look at a good resume and you can see the differences. So I'm just going to pop up a resume here. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. Let me know in the comments if you can't see that. Now, I'm not sure, once again, Jordan Taylor is made up, so he's not a real person, don't worry. But I'm interested to know, when you look at this straight away, if there's anything that you can see obvious that's wrong with this, because you might look at that and go, that looks like a great resume. And once again, this isn't necessarily a terrible one. I mean, I've seen a lot worse, don't get me wrong. But I want to show you something that you might look at that and think, that's fantastic. It's clean, it's tidy, but this resume will potentially get missed. Okay, so let's have a look. If you look at the opening line here, it says, seeking a challenge and rewarding position in the field of cybersecurity, where I can leverage my skills, certifications, and a passion for technology to contribute to an organization's security posture while growing my career in a dynamic and fast-paced environment. So what's wrong with that? To me, that is very, very generic. Okay, there's nothing specific here. It's no target role. There's no skills called out. There's no differentiator to maybe another candidate that sent their resume in. So seeking a challenging and rewarding position is the most common open line I see. Honestly, I see it all the time. It wastes the most valuable real estate on your resume. Now, I want you to have this thought when you do your resume. I want you to be thinking, if I'm going to send this in, the rest of it can almost be irrelevant. Now, of course, recruiters and hiring managers are going to look through your resume, but I want you to have the mindset of that professional summary at the top. I want them to read that and know exactly what I'm doing and what I'm looking for in 3 to 4 sentences. Now, if they choose to carry on, fantastic. They'll have more detail in there, but you want to really focus on your personal summary and make that stand out. Okay. Now, the fix to this, you want to be having a target role, relevant background, 2 or 3 top skills, 1 differentiator, 2, 3, 4 sentences max. Now, every word earns its place. So this hypothetical candidate here has got a very short personal statement, which is fine. When I show you the better resume, it will be slightly longer, but you want to be thinking, how can I grab the recruiter or hiring manager's attention straight away? Yeah, absolutely. I see in the comments there, it's fluffy and no clarity. Exactly. It is. It's something where you've put this down just because you need to put a personal statement. Okay. So that's what you want to be thinking here. Now, when we look at the certification section, there's 8 certifications listed front and center. Now, that's fine. But if you think of it this way, certs tell me you can pass exams. They tell me you understand the theory, and they tell the hiring managers this as well. But they don't tell me that you can actually do the job. They tell me that you've been there, you've studied, and you've passed an exam. There are 0 projects on this resume, 0 proof of practical work. So as much as you're listing them there, you're once again using up a bit of real estate at the top of your resume that could be used for something else. Now, you may have heard that the expression where a recruiter spends an average 6 to 10 seconds looking over a resume. Now, honestly, that can be true. If you've had 100 job applications in for a position, for a SOC analyst role, it's not practical for a recruiter or hire manager to sit there and read through the whole CV back to front of every single application. They just can't do that. So you have to think of this in that first 6 to 10 seconds. What is going to jump out that's going to make me, a recruiter or a hiring manager, listen? That's your thinking here. What can you put on there that's going to jump out? Now, certifications are great. Don't get me wrong. They are important, but it's not going to get you the job. So your personal summary at the top is what needs to go first, not followed by certifications. Now, the next thing there is the skills section. You might look at that and think that's fine, but this is what I call keyword stuffing. So what this person's done is they've put all the skills they can think of, they've bunched them all together in one area. I think there's over 30 items there in one wall of text. Splunk, Metasploit, Burp Suite, Microsoft Office, etc. Now, this is definitely keyword stuffing. It looks desperate and it tells me nothing about what you can do, if you actually know how to use them. Okay. So we're going to come back to that on the good resume and talk about what we need to do there. You've then got education. Once again, in a cybersecurity resume, your education doesn't need to be here. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying a degree isn't key, but it doesn't need to be here. Whereas other industries and other sectors, they do look at education more thoroughly than they would in a cybersecurity one. So what is the fix for your skill section? Like I said, we'll come to that. Now, the skill is I want you to lay them out a little bit more friendly on the eye. So when I show you the better resume, you'll see that. All right. Now, mistake 2, you've got your responsibilities instead of accomplishments. Now, every bullet point describes a task here. Provided technical support to end users via phone, email, and in person. Responsible for resolving issues, providing technical support. There's no numbers, there's no tools name, there's no results. These are copied from a job description, not written by someone who actually did the work. Now, if you look at this, it says responsible for resolving hardware and software issues in a timely manner. That's a job description line. So the fix for this is you want to be thinking of an action verb. So plus what you did, plus a tool used, plus a quantified result. So for example, investigated and triaged 15 plus phishing reports weekly, escalating confirmed threats and reducing incidents by 40%. Now, this is the same person, but a completely different impression. The first one, what they do is they literally listed a task like on a job description. The second example is they're telling me and the hiring manager an actual proof of what they did using numbers. So they reduced by 40%. This gives the hiring manager actual proof of what that person was doing. And there's a massive difference there. So once again, if I'm looking at a resume and I look at someone's CV, I'm reading their personal statement. I then want to see what they've done. And if the first few bullet points gives me actual evidence about what they were doing in that role, I'm carrying on reading. Now, let me know in the comments now. Be honest here. When you first saw this CV come up, was this something... Did this CV look good to you? I want to hear your honest thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Because I've shown some of my clients resumes like this, and straight away they say to me, look, I don't know what's wrong. And once again, I have seen worse, but hopefully you can understand now what I mean about the difference between a tailored resume and a good resume. Does your bullets under experience answer the questions? So what impact? Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. You need to be showing them what you've actually done. Use numbers to back it up. Use actual evidence and real examples of something you've done in your last role. Okay. Now, I don't know if you've noticed something here, but what's missing on this resume? There's absolutely no documents. So there's no documented projects in any way. Yeah, it's okay, but there's nothing to differentiate from every other resume. It's exactly right. Now, if you're in a cybersecurity, if you're trying to break into cybersecurity, it's very competitive, as most of you are probably aware. Certifications are great. As you've probably seen in my videos, you have to back this up with experience. So I want to see people who apply for jobs with their resume. We can talk about a cover letter later if that's something you want to discuss. But a cover letter possibly, but you want your resume, and I want to see some proof of learning. What projects have you covered? What technical experience have you got? What hands-on experience can you do? What can I bring to my client, the hiring manager, and say, Jordan Taylor has done X, Y, Z. He's got these certifications, and he's also got this portfolio here that I can show you with his work. Now, this CV hasn't got any of that on there. Now, this candidate may have done projects and not decided to put them on. Honestly, I've seen that. Or this candidate hasn't done any projects. Either way, I'm either thinking, I want to ask them, have they done it? Or if they haven't done it, they need to be doing it to be getting these interviews. And the chances are I've got another 10 emails in my inbox with CVs that have got certifications along with projects. So hopefully you can see the difference there. So on paper, it's not a terrible CV, but this one could quite possibly miss exactly. They could really miss opportunities because they haven't tailored it as well. Now, one thing I've actually missed here, which we can talk about quickly, is at the top. You might notice underneath Jordan Taylor, it's got their address, it's got their phone number, their email, their date of birth, their marital status, and their driver's license. Don't need all of that. You don't need to put your date of birth. You don't need to. Your email address you need, a phone number, absolutely, so the recruiter or hiring manager can contact you. But your address, you don't need to put your actual, look, this one's got 123 Maple Street. You don't need to do that. You just need to put Springfield, Illinois, and the postcode. That's all you need to do. It shows the person reading it, the location, the region you're in. Because if you're applying for a role that's cross country, it doesn't mean you're not, capable of getting there or doing it, but it might draw a red flag. You need to let them know that, hey, I'm in the area or I'm looking to move there. Because if you do put wherever you're located, if you put somewhere that's the other side of the country, you want to follow it up with an email to say, look, I appreciate that I'm not located in your city or town. However, I'm willing to relocate and I'm actually looking to do that. But if you don't need to put the actual address there, leave that off. Okay. So any questions before I carry on here about this CV so far? No? Okay. Good. Now, in terms of length of the CV, 1 to 2 pages. If you're going in entry-level roles, 1 to 2 pages is plenty. You shouldn't be doing more than that. I do get a lot of people push back on me on this and say, if I've got 25 years of experience, how am I meant to get that on 1 page? Now, of course, I'm not asking you to do that. And this is not really what this webinar is about. If anyone's watching this who has got years and years experience, absolutely. What I'm saying still counts. But of course, your CV needs to be a bit longer. But you don't need to have things that are on 15 years ago with lots of bullet points about that, because it's not as relevant as it is to what you've done in your most recent career experience. What a recruiter or hiring manager wants to see is, what does this person do? What have they done? And can they add value to this business? Can they come into this role and make a difference straight away? Now, if you're someone that hasn't got any experience yet and you're looking to break into cybersecurity, fine. You won't have that technical experience to put on your work experience. So what can you do instead of that? Well, you need to put your projects on there. You need to put your certifications that back up those projects. You need to put down any transferable skills, any transferable technical experience you might have had from another industry. And if you're coming straight from university and you've got no real work experience, okay, it's all down to your projects and your portfolio, your home labs, anything that you've done that can show the hiring manager or recruiter why you deserve to get an interview and why you deserve to potentially get that role. Okay. So that is what I would call a bad resume, so to speak, not formatted correctly in terms of all the skills section, too much fluff, it's too generic, and it's not going to jump out to me in any way, shape or form. Now, what I want to do now is we're going to get rid of that CV, and I'm going to pop up a good seat. Jordan Taylor again, obviously not the real Jordan Taylor, but we're going to get up Jordan Taylor here, and I'm going to talk you through exactly why this one is better. So while I load this up here, tell me what stands out to you here. Does anyone see anything that jumps out to them to why this would be a better resume? Okay. So let's start at the top. Once again, they got their name. You've only got Springfield now. You've got their phone number. You've got their email address. But they have added something very important here. They've got their LinkedIn profile and their GitHub profile. So straight away, when I'm looking at this, I can say, okay, Jordan Taylor, let me get him up on LinkedIn now. There should be a good picture of him on there that's presentable. I'll be able to see what he looks like. I'll be able to see on his LinkedIn straight away anything that jumps out there that might highlight his skills. I've also got a GitHub here. Now, this candidate's actually now given me an opportunity to click on and check out his technical skills. So if I'm looking at this, I can then pass this on to the hiring manager or write up some kind of blurb about this candidate to say, hey, Jordan has done this, but he's also backed it up with this experience. He's also got a GitHub there that if a hiring manager's read it, that hiring manager can then go straight onto the GitHub and see what they've done. So straight away at the top, that's much better. So have a look at that, screenshot this if you need to, but this is what a resume should look like for cybersecurity. So let's move on. And key skills first thing I saw, absolutely. Okay, it's interesting. So the key skills jumped out to you. We'll come to that. Hiring manager, how can this applicant help me solve my problems and transform my business? Exactly. That's what the hiring manager is thinking. That's what they want to know. Can this candidate help me in the role that I'm looking to fill? Okay. So let's look at the professional summary. Entry-level SOC analyst with CompTIA Security Plus and CCDL1 and hands-on experience building a home SIEM lab using Splunk. Background in IT support with a strong foundation in the infrastructure SOC teams defend, including incident triage, endpoint security, and user access management across a 350 user environment. So I'm sure you'd agree hearing that compared to Jordan's old one. That is giving me a lot of information straight away. Before I even go down to their experience or what certs they have, this person's telling me that they're an entry-level SOC analyst. They're telling me that they've got their CompTIA Security Plus and their CCDL1. So this is SOC. This is more of a SOC analyst aligned. They've got hands-on experience building a home SIEM lab using Splunk. They've also got their GitHub there and their LinkedIn up the top where they can back this up. They've got a background in IT support with a strong foundation in infrastructure, SOC teams defend, including incident triage, endpoint security, and user access management across a 350 user environment. Now, I can guarantee you right now, I am going to spend a lot longer on this resume after I've read that. I'm not flicking off this one. That is the importance of a professional summary. What I'm doing now is I'm being honest with you. I would call this candidate. But what I'm going to do now is have a look a bit more about what other skills they do that really align to the job description or the role that I'm trying to fill. Okay. So the formula applied here was target, SOC analyst, relevant search, 2 top skills, which is a SIEM lab IT support, and a differentiator. So they put 350 user environment. That's the formula you want to apply. Okay. Now, key skills, what's changed here? Well, instead of 30 plus keywords crammed into a wall of text, replaced it with 9 targeted skills in a very clean layout. You can see there that someone mentioned in the comments the first thing they saw is key skills. Well, it's in a table. It's jumps out a bit more to you. It's also bullet pointed. You've got 3, 6, 9. It's a lot easier on the eye to read. And once again, if a recruiter's reading this quickly or skimming over it, it will stand out. Now, another important thing about this is it's more ATS friendly. So ATS tracking systems, not every company uses them, but more and more are, okay? Especially the larger government firms, banks, the bigger companies that have so many roles that they're looking to fill will often now use applicant tracking systems. And what this is essentially is an AI that's used to skim through resumes and work out and tell the company if this person's matches what the job description, if it matches with that, and if it matches the skills that the company are looking for. So if your CV is laid out poorly, it's not laid out ATS friendly, there's graphs, there's charts, there's pictures on your resume, the ATS will miss this. Now, imagine if the ATS missed this resume and a human didn't get a chance to see it. And once again, believe me, this happens. This candidate looks very, very relevant to what that company would look for. Now, luckily, this is ATS friendly, this CV, but the last one wasn't. Someone's put, is this table with the skills okay for ATS? Yes, it is. It's a very good question. Look, I try and avoid using, definitely don't use graphs, charts, or anything too fancy. But this is fine. It's got bullet points and it's very easy to read. The ATS will pick up on this, but they won't pick up separate columns. If your resume is over 3 separate columns, or it's got charts and graphs to show something you've done, that's great. If a human sees it, they might be able to look into that and understand what you've done, but the ATS will miss it. So once again, you don't need 30 plus skills. You want to be looking at the job description and be thinking, okay, what skills does the job description ask for? What skills do I have? And is it on my resume to make sure it matches? Now, you might apply for another job after this first one that doesn't require the same key skills, and don't leave them on there. Don't put them on for the sake of it. Put them on if they're relevant to the role you're applying for. Okay. Now, every one of those skills there aligns directly with a SOC analyst job description. So I've put this resume together for someone that's going for a SOC analyst role. I mean, I could have picked any of them, but I chose SOC analyst. It's quite a popular entry-level role that people like who are watching this will probably be going for. So I use this as an example. But the whole point here is you need to be picking the skills that match the job description. Okay, after that, so we haven't even got your certifications yet. We haven't got your education yet. Next up is your professional experience. IT support specialist, Midwest Insurance Group, Springfield, Illinois. The date, June 2018 to present. Difference there already. Straight away, I've got what they do, the company, the date. I've then laid it out in bullet points. So it's very easy to read, and ATS systems will be able to read this comfortably. Okay. So this is the same IT help desk job that the candidate before did, but every bullet point now follows a formula. It has an action verb plus what you did plus a tool. So once again, it has a quantified result. The job title changed from IT help desk technician to IT support specialist. It's a more professional framing. Now, responsible for is gone. Okay. Look at the difference. The old version said provided technical support to end users. The new version says investigated and triaged 15 plus phishing reports weekly, escalating confirmed threats and reducing incidents by 40%. Now, that's the same work, but it's reframed with security language, numbers, and outcomes. So bullet point 1, phishing triage. Bullet point 2, Active Directory for 350 users. So there's a differentiator. There's actual proof of something that the hiring manager or recruiter is going to read. Bullet point 3, it says endpoint patching, 200 plus workstations, 98% compliance. You're backing it up with actual numbers. You're giving tangible results here. You're not just saying a line from a job description. Bullet point 4, malware investigation, cross-department pattern, collaborated on USB device controls. Every single bullet point has an action verb. It has a tool or context and a number to back it up. So it's not responsible for, not assisted with, not investigated. It's managed, led, identified. That's what gets a recruiter to slow down and actually look into more what you've done. Okay. Any questions before Luke, it's kind of hard to read the text in the resume. Okay. What I'll do is I will put these in the description below. Okay. After this live stream, I'm going to put these resumes below for you so you can get them up and you can actually look back and have them there when you look back over this. I'll see if I can't seem to get that zoomed in, but I will put these below. Okay. And you'll be able to see them. All right. Any other questions before I continue on the next part of the webinar? No. Okay. So after your professional experience, now look, I've only put one job here. Obviously, you may have 2 or 3 jobs, 4 or 5 jobs. It doesn't matter. I've just given you an example of what to follow. Now, you put all of your professional experience there and follow the same formula we just spoke about. But after you've done the professional experience, I asked a question about career change summary. I've missed that. Put that comment, put that question back in for me and we'll come to that in a sec. So I missed that question. Now, after your professional experience, you have certification. So this is when you put this in. So if you look at it so far, your professional summary, key skills, professional experience. So you've got an overview of what you've done, you've got your key skills, and you've got your professional experience. They're key there to tell the recruiter or hiring manager, is this person right for the job? Okay. The next up is certifications. And before we get to that, I asked a question about career change when coming from another industry. So look, if you're coming from another industry, obviously you might not have the relevant experience in terms of IT support specialist. You might not come from a help desk. You might not come from anything it might not even be IT related at all. So you still need to put down in your professional experience what you've done. You can't lie in your resume and you need to show that you've worked. So the difference here is going to be thinking, okay, I might not have investigated and triaged 15 phishing reports. You might not be able to say something like that. But what skills have you got in your old role that is transferable? I guarantee you there'll be skills that you've done that you might not think are relevant that are. So have a think about that. You might have been in a role where you've had to communicate really well with the business. Great. It's a great soft skill to have. You might have a role where you've used technical skills that you didn't think were relevant that are. So you need to think about what can you show the hiring manager or recruiter? What skills have you learned and done in your previous role that could still apply for this? And that's where your professional summary comes in key. In that professional summary, it will give you a chance to say to them, look, as you can see, I don't come from an IT background or a cyber background, but I've got this skill set, this set of tools that I can use, and these key words that you'll see below that will justify why I should be chatting to you about the role that you're applying for. Okay. So yeah, you're referring to the summary section. So that's what you do in the professional summary. Okay. Obviously you can't put entry-level SOC analyst with CompTIA Security Plus. Now you might be able to put about your soft skills that you have or other relevant experience, and you might have your Security Plus, so you can put that in. All right, certifications next. So this is where you put down any certifications and make sure you start with the most relevant ones. Okay, now, any of you that watch my channel, watch my videos, know that I'm a big fan of the Security Plus. I do think it's the gold standard. It is on more job descriptions I see than any other certification at entry level. It really is. Okay, now, if you've got the certifications and you've got Security Plus, put them in order. So here for this role, for example, if for a SOC analyst type position, you've got your CompTIA Security Plus at the top. You've got the date that you obtained that cert. So you want to put your certification followed by the date. Now, I've also put Cyber Defender CCDL1. It's a great certification, and also it's aligned for SOC analysts. So I've put that next. Now, if you have more, that's great. Put them down, put the date next to it, but make sure you start with the most relevant ones, okay? So if you're not going for a SOC analyst role, but you've done your CCDL1, it's still good that you've got that, but it doesn't need to be near the top if you've got 4 or 5 other relevant certifications. So always think of it that way. So put the most relevant ones at the top and work your way down. And that's all you need to do for certifications. Don't overthink it. Put it on there. It's important, but it shouldn't go at the top of your resume. Following certifications, you'll see on the resume, you have security projects. So here, this candidate's put a home lab, SIEM threat detection environment. Now, unlike Jordan Taylor's other CV, which was the bad version, there was no projects on there whatsoever. Now, it turns out Jordan has got a project, but he chose, for whatever reason, or wasn't advised to put it on his resume. So what's changed? The vague one-liners, set up a home lab, or completed try-hack-me rooms, or did some CTF challenges. I'd rather have you have that on there than nothing at all, but replace it with more detailed experience. You can see here, it's got home lab, SIEM threat detection environment, and it's got the GitHub underneath it. So I or other recruiters or hiring managers can literally click on the GitHub straight away and have a look at what you've actually done. They've then got bullet points, just like your experience section. Built a virtualized network with firewall, Windows 10, etc., etc. They've actually backed it up with what they've done. So not only can you go to the GitHub and have a look through it, you can also see clearly on their resume what projects or what home labs they've done. Now, this is where entry-level candidates win or lose, to be honest, because if you're entry level, you haven't got that much experience to show someone. It's not like you've been doing a SOC role for 5 years and you're looking to move up into your next role. Okay. You haven't got that. So if you take one thing from this today, it's document your projects like this on your resume. Okay. Because you might have your certifications, you might have your Network Plus, your Security Plus, your CCDL1, whatever you've chosen to do. You might even have a cyber university degree. You might have an internship. Maybe, but you probably haven't got any actual SOC experience or any cyber related work experience you can put down. So what can separate you is your project experience. Okay, make sure you put it on there and really detail what you've done. If you can, have your GitHub, have your whatever you've done, your portfolio in, have a link on there. Let people have the chance to see what you're capable of. Okay. All right, let's have a look. And in terms of security projects, look, it's not something I'm going to go into in this video because that I'm going to spend too long talking about that where it gets away a little bit from resume and LinkedIn. Okay. That is a good question. I will message me. I can follow up with that and we'll go through that with you, but I'm just not going to go into it too now because I'll go too off on a tangent about what your resume and LinkedIn needs to be. Now, next up is your education. You can see that after projects, they've got the home lab here. They've got Try Hack Me. Is their education. Okay. Now, quite simply, it just needs to be at the bottom of your resume. It doesn't need to be at the top. I'm not saying your education is not important. I'm not, but trust me, it's not going to get you a job. It's not a prerequisite to have a degree in cybersecurity to get a job in cyber. It is great to have. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm not advising someone don't go and do it. I'm just simply saying that don't think that you've done a master's in science, in a Bachelor of Science, sorry, in cyber or IT, and that's going to get you a job. It's not. So it's nice to have, but what's really going to get you a job is your hands-on experience plus your certifications. Now, if you have whatever education you have got, put it there, put it at the bottom, put your, as you can see, Bachelor of Science, Information Technology, Springfield State University, 2014. Put whatever education you have at the bottom. It's great if, for whatever reason, the company are asking about specific qualifications or specific university degrees, the ATS will pick this up. And if not, the hiring manager or recruiter will see it. They'll manually see it themselves. So either way, you've got it on there. So hopefully you can see a real difference there between Jordan's first CV and Jordan's second CV. And to sum it up, really, the second CV, the good one, is a lot more tailored. It has projects on there, which the first one didn't at all. And that, to me, is the biggest difference. It's much more ATS friendly. They're not buzzwords floating everywhere, 30 keywords stuffed in there. It's laid out a lot easier to read, ATS friendly. In terms of the descriptions, you're actually backing up with tangible evidence. You're using numbers. You're not just writing what a job description wants you to see. It's more skill-based now than education. Absolutely. If you have an unrelated degree, is there any point adding it there? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Still put it on there because it is a degree you've done. And if you've done an unrelated degree, there's a chance that you may not have been thinking about cybersecurity or an IT path when you went to university or college. And that's absolutely okay. Who really knows what they want to do at 17, 18 years old? Some people do, and good on them, but most people don't. So the amount of people I speak to who have, a degree in English literature or an arts degree, that at the time that might be something they wanted to do. You've still gone and done 3 or 4 years of study. You've still completed a degree. Put it on there. It's not going to take you away from getting the job. If you've got a degree in English literature, but you've also got project experience, you've got hands-on technical experience, you've done your Security Plus, you've done your CCDL1, you've done an internship, they're not going to care that you did an English literacy degree, okay? So yes, hope that answers that question. Where would soft skills should be put in your resume, top, middle, or bottom? That is a fantastic question. Now, let me answer this. Soft skills are essential for cybersecurity, okay? But let me put this to you. everyone is going to say they have good listening skills. They're good with their colleagues. They work well in a team. It's very unlikely for anyone. I've hardly had anyone that come up to me and go, Luke, I'm a terrible communicator. I don't work well in a team. I sit back. I don't like to, I don't like to take in information from someone that's in a more authoritative position. This doesn't happen. So soft skills, you can add in the skills section, but you don't want to be leading with that too much, because people are going to assume everyone is good in a team. Okay. Now you might be sitting there thinking, I'm really not, and I'm actually quite shy and I don't like communicating with the business. Then you don't want to be putting that anything on your CV. That's something you need to work on with a career coach, a recruiter. Someone can help you do that. But don't take up valuable space in there to say that you work well in a team. It's too generic. The hiring manager is not going to get you an interview. What's going to get you an interview is the other points we mentioned. Now, when you get that interview, that's completely different. That's when you need to show your soft skills. That's when you need to prove to the hiring manager that you can communicate well. You can liaise with non-technical stakeholders in the business. You can talk to someone who doesn't understand any type of cybersecurity jargon. That's different. But in the resume, stick to keywords that are going to get you an interview. I hope that helps. And another thing to think about here is, I want you to think about your resume as this. Your resume's only real duty is to get you an interview. That's all it is. Once you get the interview, it's your chance and your ability to sell yourself. That's your chance to look a hiring manager in the eye and say, this is why I deserve to be hired for this position. This is the value I can add. This is the skill set I bring. This is why I work well in a team. This is how I communicate well with non-technical stakeholders of the business. Your resume's job is to get you that interview. Once you've got that interview, your resume to a certain degree goes to one side. They're then interviewing you. That's when you sell yourself. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Good. You understand? Yeah. This is just soft skills without any context can create a problem. It can do. So don't get confused about that. Soft skills are essential. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just think cleverly and think strategically about your CV and the difference between a resume and a interview. Okay. All right. Any questions? No? All right. So let's move on. Now, let's talk about LinkedIn. First of all, everyone who's on the call right now, have you all got a LinkedIn profile? Yeah, just before we get to other YouTubers said to apply on the resume, but they were very generic and didn't give proper answers. Exactly. Look, I'm not saying don't necessarily put soft skills on there. I'm trying to get you in the mindset though. Don't lead with them. That's where you need to sell yourself in an interview. Okay. Yes, LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn. Good. Yeah. Okay. If you're looking for a job, in any job, to be honest, and you don't have a LinkedIn, stop what you're doing and do that. Okay. There's lots of social media out there, but LinkedIn is your business social media. Being honest, LinkedIn is pretty much for recruiters, okay, or for people who are looking to hire. I have LinkedIn open all day. Now, I'm going to be careful when I say this because I do often mention about LinkedIn being like a digital resume. It is, but more importantly, it's a search engine for talent. Okay. It's how people find you. If you're looking for a job and you're active in the market, if your LinkedIn isn't keyword friendly, it isn't optimized, it's not visible, or if you don't have one, you're relying solely on someone who's got your resume. And the only way they're going to have your resume is if you've either sent it to them and applied for a job, or you've got it up on a job board. So for example, here in Australia, Seek, Indeed, your resume is on there. Apart from that, how are they ever going to know you? Now, a lot of candidates I find come from two ways. They come from word of mouth, referrals, who's in my network, and they come from LinkedIn. Now, I'm being completely honest with you. Sometimes I've found candidates before I even need to look at job adverts and people who send their CV in. Now, that might shock some of you, but that hopefully is an eye-opener to why LinkedIn's important. So when recruiters search LinkedIn, they look at their name, their photo, their headline. That's it. Think about it. Their name, their headline, their photo. Your photo should always be a professional photo. Don't have the same photo necessarily. If you have one on Facebook or Instagram that's of you, you know, out with your friends, out in a bar, fine. That's a social media platform, but it's not a business recruitment platform. This one needs to be a professional headshot, okay? It needs to look professional. So treat it as if you were going for an interview. How do you want to be presented? Your headline. Now, this is key. Your headline is almost like your professional summary. Now, I'm going to try and get up my LinkedIn here. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. If you look at my picture, there's a professional headshot of me. Now, my headline is here. So if you read that, career coach and cybersecurity recruiter, 15 years in talent, YouTube, how to break into cybersecurity. Someone who's looking for someone like me, for example, straight away, before they even have to go down, is going to see, okay, he's a career coach and he's a cybersecurity recruiter. He's done it for 15 years. He's got a YouTube channel, how to break into cybersecurity. Fantastic. So if you're looking to break into cyber, you'll be silly not to follow and look at my profile more, right? That makes sense. I happen to have my logo here. You don't have to have anything up here. If you do, keep it professional. You could put maybe a certification that you've done, but don't only put something here if it's relevant. So that is your headline. So I want you to think about what you can put. So whether that's aspiring SOC analyst, CompTIA Security Plus qualified, projects done, or 3 years in internship here, whatever it might be, you need to put that in your headline. Okay. Any questions so far? Could you zoom in slightly? It should be. Apologies if you can't see that very well. I'm not sure if that's any better. Okay. Does cold emails, DM still work? Fantastic question. Absolutely. Absolutely. What can you do that's being more proactive to everyone else? Okay. Now, if you've just done your CV and you've got a basic LinkedIn profile, fine. I'm not saying you won't get a job. I'm not saying you won't get found. You might do, absolutely. But what about if 50 other people have got that applying for the same role? So think of it this way. Always be thinking, what can I do differently to someone else? What extra steps can I take to get noticed? Now, if you're looking up a job ad for a SOC analyst position, and it happens to have the hiring manager's details on there, okay? What's stopping you from reaching out to them on LinkedIn? What's stopping you from reaching out to them with an email? Now, maybe you've got to go out your comfort zone a bit, possibly. I don't know you individually. I'm not sure. But could you imagine this? Let's say scenario one, candidate A sends their resume in, a good tailored resume. It's got their LinkedIn on. It's got everything we spoke about. It sends it into the hiring manager. You've got candidate B that does the same thing. It's got a good ATS-friendly, well-written, clear resume and LinkedIn profile. But candidate B is followed up to it with an email to the hiring manager or a message on LinkedIn saying, "Hi, John. I've recently seen that you're looking to recruit a SOC analyst position in your team. I've got XYZ experience with this background and I'm CompTIA Security Plus certified. I really like the sound of what your business are doing and I've heard great things about your team. Would love to have a chat with you in more detail about this. Please let me know if this is okay." Now, by spending that extra few minutes by sending that resume, by sending that personal message won't always work, but I can assure you that if you do that enough times, it will come back and you will be thankful for it. So yeah, DMs absolutely still work 100% if you're strategic about it. Okay. Let me just... Okay. There we go. So yeah, it's a numbers game. It is a numbers game. It is absolutely. But remember, just be careful with that, because I'd rather you apply for 20 positions in a month that are very tailored to each position, that are very, specific about what you're looking for, than sending out 100 resumes to any cybersecurity role out there and hoping. Because you're going to waste a lot of time. Your confidence will go down because you sent out 100 CVs, you've got 2 replies, and it's not going to put you in the best state of mind, because you're not going to hear back a lot of them because you're not relevant. So yeah, it is a numbers game, absolutely. And the more proactive you are, and the more deep you go into your search and reaching out to people, the more chance you have. But remember to keep it very specific and tailored to what your skill set is and for the role that you're applying for. No worries, it's 1 a.m. here. Appreciate you being on and listening to this. Watch the replay. Everything else will be on there. Thanks for joining. Yep, don't apply it yet. Be strategic, absolutely. Think about it that way. Now, your LinkedIn. So what else? On your LinkedIn, once you get down further, you've got your heading, you've got your about your professional photo, you've got maybe a banner behind it, you've got your headline. What else do we need to talk about? Okay, so we need to talk about your about section. So your about section is where someone can see literally what you do. This is your chance to do almost your personal summary. So someone's seen your headline, they've seen that this is what you do. Great, I want to see a bit more about this candidate. I want to see a bit more about what you've done. This is where you put your hook sentence. So why should they keep reading? Your background, so brief, keep it brief, make it relevant. Why cybersecurity, your story. What you're building, so what projects you've done, what learning, what goals, what certifications are you currently trying to pursue, and a call to action. What do you want them to do? So a hook, why they should keep reading, your background, keep it brief, why cybersecurity, what you're building, and a call to action. What do you want them to do with this information? So let's give you some examples. So someone with a very standard, let's call it, about section could be, I'm a motivated individual with a passion for cybersecurity and a strong desire to learn. I hold a CompTIA Security Plus certification. It's not terrible, okay? Don't get me wrong, but it's nothing extra there to what most people are going to say. A lot of people will have your CompTIA Security Plus. Everyone's going to say they're motivated, and everyone's going to say they've got a passion, right? Because if they haven't got a passion for cybersecurity, why are you doing it? Now, let me phrase this to you. After 3 years in IT support, I realized I was most energized when something went wrong. Investigating incidents, tracing root causes, figuring out how systems were being exploited. That's what pulled me into cybersecurity. I'm now building hands-on experience through home lab projects and try hack me challenges with a focus on SEAM, threat detection and incident response. I'm currently studying for the CYSA Plus while documenting everything I learn on GitHub. If you're hiring for entry-level blue team roles, I'd love to connect. Now, if I read that as a recruiter, I'm phoning that person straight away. It's giving me exactly the information I need to hear. It's told me they've got 3 years in IT support. It tells me what they've done, what projects they're doing, what certifications that they're currently studying, what roles they're looking for. And it also tells me that if you're looking to hire, I would love to connect with you. Fantastic. So hopefully you can see the difference there. Now, if you look at, I want you to think about your LinkedIn profile now. Do any of you in the chat there, do any of you have anything like that? And if not, can you see the benefit of having a more detailed description? Yep. First 3 lines, you stop the hiring manager, say, I need to talk to this person. Exactly. So remember, think of it this way. If the hiring manager hasn't seen your CV or recruiters out there headhunting, so we spend a lot of time looking out on LinkedIn at who looks relevant for these positions, and I'll contact them. I'll reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, would you be open to exploring this SOC analyst role that I'm looking at, or this pen testing role, whatever it might be. So what are you going to do to get me to stop and look at that and think, I need to call this person? Now, there's a couple of things you can do in your settings that you might not be aware of. And you may have seen people on LinkedIn that have a green or a purple circle around their name. One says I'm hiring and one says I'm looking or open to work. Okay. That's a good little setting you can do. It literally takes 1 minute to do. Go into your settings. You can click on open to work. Now you can have that so it comes up on your LinkedIn as a big circle around your name and it jumps out to people. Or you could do it where you can just put only for recruiters. And what that does is it doesn't let the whole market know that you're looking, because you might want to keep that on the down low. Not everyone wants to show that. But if you put the recruiters part on, only recruiters will see that you're looking. Okay. So a public green banner is for people looking, and you've got the recruiters only one. Yep, you've got open to work active on mine. Perfect. Paul, absolutely. You'll be silly not to do this. If you are actively looking, at least put where it says recruiters only. And if you really are looking and you don't mind who sees, put the green ring on, because at least it jumps out to people. So if you're currently employed and you're looking quietly, go to your profile, open to work, choose recruiters only. Don't flash the green banner if you don't want your boss to see it. If you're in a role now and you don't want them knowing, do not put the green ring around your name. Okay. Next thing about LinkedIn. This is what I guarantee most of, well, you probably tell me you will now, but I guarantee most of you won't be doing. I want you to be becoming more active on LinkedIn. Okay. I want you to get into the algorithm. I want you to come up more on your searches. I want you to go from thinking LinkedIn is somewhere where you just put where you work to thinking LinkedIn is how I'm going to find a job. LinkedIn is how I'm going to network in the cybersecurity community. LinkedIn is how I'm going to find my next job. That's what I want you to be thinking. So for you to be able to do that, you need your name, your profile to come up on recruiters' pages, in hiring managers' pages. You need that. So to become more visible, you need the algorithm to push you more. So I want you to think, I want you to comment on, let's start a target, comment on 3 posts a week, more if you want, but start there. And don't just put great post. That's better than nothing. But I want you to try and put an actual thought. So if you put, someone's put a new job and you put congratulations, hope the job goes well, that's still good. You're still getting your name out there. But I want you to try and look at posts where something's put something that is relevant to cybersecurity, what's relevant to what you're looking to do, and think of a thoughtful response. Now, what does this do? It does a few things. One, the algorithm starts seeing that you're connecting and speaking to people in your area, which is cybersecurity or whatever. You can even go more niche. You can even go to pure SOC or pure pen testing. I would keep it more cybersecurity if I were you. So not only does it show the algorithm, these are the type of people that I want to show post to him. It shows that person that you've put a very thoughtful comment on, will give them a chance to look at your profile maybe, but it also gets you coming up more in the cybersecurity network. Now, you posting to your friends on this, fine, but that's not going to help you if you're actually looking for a job there. Still do that if you want, but I want you to start building your network in cybersecurity. I had a comment on one of my LinkedIn YouTube videos over the last couple of days, and it said something like, Luke, why would I post on LinkedIn if most of my contacts on there are not in cybersecurity? That's what the comment said. Now, I think that there told me something very important. And what I went back to essentially say was, that's the issue. You're right in what you're saying, but the issue is your contacts on there aren't in cybersecurity. So how are you going to be found by hiring managers and recruiters? So my advice was, go out there and start connecting to 10 people a day, 5 people a day, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with who are in cybersecurity, and start getting your network in cybersecurity. And then when you start posting relevant information, it becomes relevant. So what we've got here, it can be very daunting as a beginner on LinkedIn. Yeah, absolutely get that. I really, really do. I understand that. And look, it's something that you want to try and overcome. It can be daunting. Now, do only what you're comfortable with, okay? But I promise you, by becoming more active will help you. I get so many people say to me, Luke, there's no chance out there. There's so many people looking. I can't get a job. I've done all this. I've done all that. Fine. It is a hard market. Times are tough out there. So sometimes you have to go that extra mile. if you're not being active on LinkedIn and you're not DM and messaging people in your network, and you're not going to conferences, or you're not going to meetup groups or anything like this, and you're just relying on sending your CV in, how would you expect to jump out and get in front of the other people who are doing that? You may get lucky and you may get the job, but you do need to do this. So I completely appreciate that it is daunting when you're a beginner. So start slow. Comment on people's posts, like people's posts, maybe do only one post a week at first. Ease your way in. But I promise you, try and get more active on LinkedIn. I admit I've not been active on my LinkedIn profile. Okay, well, there's a Gaming with Stuart. There's a great place to start. Paul, start following companies involved in cybersecurity. Yeah, absolutely. Do a Google search, or use, ChatGPT or an AI. Get them to get you a list of the top, 50 cybersecurity businesses or companies that are hiring cyber in your area, or in, wherever that might be. Get that list, sit on LinkedIn, get a coffee, get a drink, sit there for half hour, go through that and connect or follow all of them. You do that enough times over a week or two, and you'll start getting a really good following, or you'll start building up a good network on cybersecurity within that space. Okay. So, I do appreciate it's difficult, but ease your way in. Let me know, okay? When you, who put me, I can't see who sent me that message now, but let me know how you go. Message me, email me, let me know if you are getting more active on LinkedIn, okay? Why don't you start by putting some comments on my posts? I'm saying that because, the stuff I do, people follow me or in cybersecurity. If you start commenting on some of my posts, other people will see that, your network will grow. So there's a place for you to start. I want you to do something else on LinkedIn. You could share one thing you learned each week. That's a really good way of starting. So maybe a try hack me room, a concept, a tool you've tried, a certification you finished, or hey everyone, I'm excited to say I've just started my CYSA Plus. It's going to be a good journey doing this. Looking forward to hearing other people's thoughts on how they found it. That was just off the top of my head. But think about posts like this. You could also do the document your journey story. So strategy post about what you've been doing. Once again, last week I finished the CompTIA Security Plus. What a fantastic certification. I learned so much. Recommend everyone else does it. Where are you with yours? Project milestones. I'm halfway through my 100 days of PowerShell, or whatever it might be. Okay. Small wins. Put stuff on there. Let people know that you are actively in the market and you're trying to improve your cyber skills. And also, once again, connect intentionally. So I'm not telling you sitting there just to press follow on everyone. I'm on about looking at who you should target. What recruiters out there do cybersecurity? Have a look in your area, whether that's the States, the UK, Australia, India, Africa. It doesn't matter. Wherever you're based around the world, who is doing recruitment in your space? And reach out to them, follow them, connect with them. What hiring managers are out there that are actively looking? If you see a hiring manager say, hey, LinkedIn, I'm looking for a SOC analyst to join me. They need XYZ experience. Would love to connect with them, drop them a message. Look for people already in the role that you're going for. And I've mentioned it in my videos before. Reach out to a SOC analyst. If you're trying to be a SOC analyst, reach out to a SOC analyst on LinkedIn who's been there for 3 years. You'll be amazed. People like to talk about themselves. You'll be amazed how much people want to help. Reach out to them. Send them a LinkedIn message. Hey, would love to connect. Also, if you have 10 minutes this week, I'm an aspiring SOC analyst. Would love to pick your brain. You're doing 2 things there. 1, you're going to learn some valuable information. And 2, that's someone else in your network who can then, who knows, they might know a hiring manager that's looking. You never know what opportunities might come up. I was personally thinking of doing weekly posts highlighting what I've been up to in that time. Highly recommend it. I'm the one, and I would try to get active again, actually. Oh yeah, good. I just started building my home SOC lab. Windows event server, maybe document that journey. Fantastic idea. And yeah, definitely let me know how it goes. That's a perfect example. So even though you might find it daunting, you've started your home SOC lab. So document that. And I promise you, there's going to be people in this chat. There'll be people who watch this video who are on LinkedIn that would love to hear how you're doing, because they might want to learn about your experience, and then they might tell you what they learn. So really, really good. That I would start there. All right. Now, experience and projects on LinkedIn. So this is the last thing on LinkedIn I think we need to talk about is project section. So you've got your name, you've got your headline, you've got your skill section, you've got your about section, projects. Make sure you've got your projects on there. So any lab work, any write-ups, any CTF results, label them clearly. Home lab projects, try hack me challenges, CTFs, anything you might have done, link it on there. You could put your GitHub link, you could put any blog posts you've done, you can write articles directly on LinkedIn. Whatever you do, use this as a chance to highlight your projects and hands-on experience. Managed user access controls is better than provided IT support, okay? So think of that as well, how you word things. Also think about how you word your bullet points or your title. So investigated phishing reports and escalated confirmed threats, beats handled help desk incidents. So it's all about having your LinkedIn on there and being very clear about what it is you do and easy for people to read. Now, there is one more thing, actually. Keywords. LinkedIn is, as I said before, uses algorithms like most other social network platforms. It's no different. It has algorithms. So you want to make sure you have keywords on the jobs that you do. If you haven't done that, go through your experience on your LinkedIn and you can click in a skills section and you can add certain skills. And there are 5 skills it allows you to do in the main skills sections that pop up. Use that chance to put your top 5 skills that you have and keep them relevant to the jobs you're going for. Now, for all the other skills, I think you can put up to 50. I could be wrong. I think it's up to 50. Go into each role that you've done and you can add skills. So you can add whatever skills that you've done that you have on your resume, put them on your LinkedIn. It does 2 things. 1, it shows people that you've done it, but 2, it works in the algorithm. Now, what do I mean by that? It's going to show your posts and it's going to show information to you that are relevant to what you do. But secondly, recruiters will search on LinkedIn. So this is where your headline and your skills come in key. Now, if I'm looking for someone based in Sydney for a SOC analyst who's got a certain certification, I'm going to do a Boolean search and say SOC analysts and security plus location Sydney. This is a very basic example. But if your LinkedIn hasn't got that in your headline or it's not got keywords, you're not going to come up in my search and I'm going to miss you. And you could be a very qualified candidate. So it gives you an idea again. That's how people search. They use Boolean searches. And if you don't know Boolean, Google Boolean after this and look up Boolean searches and it'll help you understand how recruiters and how people look for you on LinkedIn. I have documented some of my home lab projects on GitHub and still work on other projects. Fantastic. Stuart, brilliant. You're doing everything right there. Make sure they're documented on LinkedIn and make sure people know your GitHub profile, but that's exactly what you should be doing. So really, really good. Okay, before we move on now to Q&A, which we've been doing throughout this call, but is there anything on LinkedIn or anything on the CV that I've missed, you wanted to hear, you have any questions about, anything that comes up? And if not, we're going to jump through into a live Q&A. No? Okay, now this part of the show, or the webinar, sorry, is a chance for you to ask me anything about today, anything about your job search that you're going through. Maybe you're struggling with interviews. Maybe you've sent out 50 resumes and haven't heard anything back. Anything that you want to ask me now, keep it relevant to today's webinar, just so we don't go off on a tangent. I'm going to do more live streams. I'm going to do more live webinars. So there's other areas we can do. And also let me know in the comments about if you want to hear or if you want to do a live webinar on any particular subjects, and I can see if I can make that happen. Now, we have been answering quite a few questions throughout this webinar anyway, so you may have asked them. But are there any questions that people have? Because now's the time to do it. And if not, I've kind of got a few that I've got ready that people genuinely ask me that I'll go through with you. But this is a chance to ask me while we're on the webinar now. Okay, so I'll start. So I get asked, excuse me, I get asked quite a lot. Luke, what's the best way to get noticed with zero experience? Okay, and now it's a question that you might want to know, you might not, but I'm going to answer it anyway. My advice to this would be target Okay, I see some questions coming through, so I'll come back to that. Target a specific entry-level role. Build 2 to 3 solid projects and document everything. So if you've got zero experience, you can't rely on anything you've done work-wise in terms of technical skills to show the hiring manager. You might have soft skills, you might have transferable skills, but you can't show them anything pure cyber related. So I want you to target a specific entry-level role. Don't try for everything. Don't look at pen testing first. Look at SOC analysts, cyber analysts, things like that. Build 2 to 3 solid projects. Go away and do those projects and document them. And then be active on LinkedIn, what we spoke about, quality over quantity. You've got to get on LinkedIn, you've got to network with people, and you have to have projects that you can show, hey, I may not come from a cyber background, but these are the skills that I've done. All right. I see a lot of people post on Medium. For someone who's just starting out as an aspiring level 1 SOC analyst, to be specific, would GitHub and LinkedIn be sufficient? Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, LinkedIn is key. Do LinkedIn, whatever you do, do LinkedIn. And GitHub, places like that is absolutely perfect to what you need to be showcasing. Okay, you don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be through Reddit and all these other places. You know, particularly if you're not used to doing this, ease your way in. But LinkedIn is key because recruiters hang out on LinkedIn. It's where we find people. So that's the place to be there. Gaming with Stuart, is it that important to host a static website and deploy a Cloudflare work page? I'm currently working on one. Look, is it imperative you do? No, but I think it's a fantastic thing to do. I spoke to someone recently who sent me an actual website they created, and they have it on their resume. And they actually said they saw that through one of my videos. They went away and did it. And on their resume, they've got their headline, their name, and they've got a link to their website, which I had a look at. And this website detailed all of their technical skills, all of their experience they'd done in one website. It was fantastic. So, Stuart, it's not... Look, I'm not going to say do that and you'll get a job. But what I will say is that is something that you're doing that's going that extra mile above other people, because most people, 95% of people, won't do that. Okay? So if you've got the time and the passion to do that, it is going to potentially help you stand out over other candidates who don't have it. How much weight do forward virtual experience programs? Yep. Carry with hire managers? Yes, absolutely. I think another question here, that's a really good question. So I'm not sure of your name there, but anything that you can do that is extra than just theory on paper. So what I mean by that is you've got a cybersecurity certification and you've listed what you've done on paper. Anything that you can do above that that's relevant to what they're looking for is going to help you in some way. Whether that's virtual experience, whether that's websites, for example, what Stuart said, whether that's GitHub, anything you can do to say, hey, you need to take me seriously. I've got these skills. Even though I haven't worked in cyber and I'm trying to break in, look at what I'm capable of. Okay. Also, how important are cover letters for SOC analyst roles? Glad you brought this up, because this was a question I was going to talk through if no one mentioned it. Cover letters. Look, my answer to a cover letter is it's better to have one. It's better if someone wants a cover letter and you haven't done it, then you haven't done it. That doesn't look great. If you've sent a cover letter and they don't want one, well, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, if that makes sense. Your personal summary is more critical than your cover letter, because I can tell you that your CV will always get read, but some people might skip over a cover letter. Not all recruiters will read cover letters. Not all hiring managers will read cover letters, but a cover letter is worth its weight in gold if it's done correctly, because a cover letter is another document that can help back up what you've done. It's another chance for you to highlight your experience. Now, what I would say is your focus is making sure your resume is tailored, your LinkedIn's tailored, and you're doing everything else we've mentioned. That's key. But if you've got the time and you've got the ability to do a good cover letter, I would recommend it. You can make a generic one, save it on your computer, and then tweak it and tinker with each one for each job ad. Make sure that you tailor it. Don't send the same generic cover letter to every job ad. So yeah, it is important, but it's not as important, trust me, as someone who sends a cover letter in isn't going to get a job over someone that's got project experience with a GitHub link and an active network in cybersecurity who hasn't done a cover letter. They're still going to get the job. So I hope that makes sense. All right, another question I get often is, should I apply if I don't meet all the requirements? My answer to that is yes, if you meet, I say, around 70% of the criteria. So if you look at a job ad and you can honestly sit there and say, I might not be the most ideal candidate, but I hit 7 out of 10, I hit 70%, then yeah, you should apply. Some people disagree with me there. Some people you'll hear say it's a numbers game completely and you should send your CV out to everything. Look, in this market, I promise you, you have to get lucky for that to happen. And you're going to waste a lot of energy, a lot of time. It's searching for jobs can be like a full-time job itself. Make it easy on yourself. Don't apply for roles that you're realistically not going to get. Okay. So I try and use a rule of thumb. If it's 60 at the lowest, but 70% of criteria, then think about applying for it. Is it too late at 30, 40, 50 years old to join cybersecurity? I get this question a lot. Absolutely not. Not at all. Do not think you need to join straight from university or you need to be, in your 20s. That's not the case. Okay. It really isn't. If you're in your 50s and you're watching this video and you're thinking about going into cybersecurity, why not? Tell me something why you shouldn't. Okay. It's all about what you can add to the business, what value you can add, what hands-on experience if you've got. It doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, or 50. Okay. Don't think of it that way. If you've got the passion, you've got the ability, you've got the right certifications and project experience and what have you, apply for it. Do employers pay for certificates, or is that more of a situational thing? Some employers do, but don't. Quite often you have to get the job first for that to happen. So don't rely on that. I do see it from time to time where if you join certain firms, they encourage active learning, they encourage continuous learning. So they will offer for you to go and do certain certifications, one that's going to help add value in the job. So if you pass that exam or that certification, it's going to help your job. They're happy to do that, but you need the job first. You will need to do it yourself. Now, if it depends, and if it's a financial thing and you're not in a position to necessarily pay for it yet, Coursera is a great thing you can do, because a lot of the time you can do the certification and you only pay for it when you've done all the training. Once again, in Coursera, I'm offering, I'll put the link below, but I've got 40% off your first 3 months at the moment. So that's a fantastic way of doing it. But to answer your question is no, don't rely on hiring managers to do it, because you'll need the job first. Your value is not determined by age. Exactly that. It really is. It is exactly true. Age is not a barrier, it's a number, and you've got to think of it like that. So if you are watching this and you are questioning whether you should start this journey, don't think of it as, am I too old? Think of it as, am I in a life position to be able to take on this new challenge? Think of it that way rather than, am I too old to get a job? Because you're not. Thank you for that, Hamid. If you want a personal engagement with you on CD editing, LinkedIn, what is the message me? Feel free to reach out to me. I do offer career coaching. Absolutely. I'll put my website down below, etc. Contact me there. We can chat about any career coaching that you might want. How long does a cover letter need to be? No more than a page. Okay. Absolutely no more than a page. So I honestly don't overthink cover letters. There's plenty of excellent templates online. I don't know if any of you have bought my digital product, my roadmap. If you haven't, I'll link it below. It's only $14.99, and it is essentially a roadmap on how to get into cybersecurity. It goes along with my YouTube videos. It's less than, honestly, some textbooks you'll buy, and it is fantastic. Now, I know I'd say that because I wrote it, but the point is it's really useful. In there are CV templates, there are cover letter templates, so that can help you there. I'm more motivated than ever. Watching this webinar, I feel more confident knowing there's a good chance of getting visibility and hopefully a job in an ever-evolving fast field. Thank you, Lou. You're more than welcome. I'm so glad that you found that you are motivated and you found this helpful, because that's the point of doing this. And you should be motivated. There are so many roles out there. Listen, you'll see a lot of stuff online where people tell you it's saturated market, you can't get a job. Yeah, it's saturated market. Yes, there's a lot of people looking. Be the person who does get that job, because these jobs will get filled. Remember that they will get filled. Someone's going to get that role. Why can't it be you? So don't listen to the people that say, don't bother, it's too hard out there. Be the person that gets the job. Go the extra mile. Go extra on LinkedIn. DM message hiring managers. Reach out to recruiters. Do articles on LinkedIn. Be active in the market. Network. Find mentors. You can make it happen. So I just want to kind of end on that to say you should be motivated. There are opportunities out there. Now, listen, I hope everyone... one thing I've realized how supportive the community really is. It's a challenging career, but there's always people who can help you. It is. Cybersecurity is a really supportive community. Okay. Get out there, network with everyone, help each other. Now, I hope you've all found this really helpful. I'll leave the link to my digital product below. If you haven't yet checked that out, if you are interested in career coaching or one-on-one, reach out to me. I'll put the details below. Check out my website. Obviously, keep an eye on my YouTube channel. Every week I release videos. Coursera, I've got 40% off at the moment. So if anyone's looking to do any kind of learning on Coursera, use that link because you'll get 3 months of 40% off. Any questions that you forgot to ask or that you realized after this call, drop them in the comments on the replay. I hope you've found it useful. I really appreciate everyone joining and best of luck in your cyber journeys. Take care. I'll see you soon.